Top 10? Best I can do is top 37.
37.
I'm 37?
Yes.
In a row?
Yep.
Hey, try not to me on the way through the parking lot.
I'll do my best. Welcome to Haul Yeah Comics. My name is Nate, and I have issues. And today's issues are body horror or body transformation covers. This comes from a cover challenge where I was called to the carpet, called on the floor, personally challenged by Allan, the comic collector geek. Every Friday he does a comic cover challenge where he picks a theme and he says, you know, go through your long boxes, find 10 books that fit this theme. Well, this theme is kind of like my thing. I love body transformation covers and body horror covers. So it wasn't hard when I went through my my filing cabinet and a couple of boxes. I ended up with a really big stack. And rather than narrow it down, and this is by no means comprehensive, I'm just going to show them all. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and look at some body transformation comic books. Up first, we're going to have my holy trinity of body transformation covers. These are all Flash books, and these are the first ones I kind of learned about. So the first one is Flash number 177. This is the first one that I ever picked up. I saw it on a wall. For the condition that this one's in, I'm pretty sure that I overpaid for it, but it was so crazy to me. I love the yellow cover. I love the red of the Flash, and you know, the fact that he doesn't see anything wrong. He's like, what's wrong with these people? And he has this giant head. So the story's pretty fun, and I've had this one for the longest time. After I picked this one up, I found a couple others that also fit the theme, and it just kind of sent me down this body transformation journey. So Flash number 133 is an abracadabra issue where he has turned the Flash into a puppet, and I think creepy puppet Flash is really creepy. I don't like the way that his mouth looks. He looks like he's in pain. This reminds me of the Justice League where everybody gets turned into trees, which would be a great one for this. I don't own that one, but it has that same kind of like, this is a transformation that also looks, you know, scary. So yeah, Flash 133 was the second Flash book that had a body transformation that I had to have. And we're kind of going in reverse order of age here because this one is the oldest, but it's the last one that I learned of, and I had to have it. It's Flash number 115, The Day That the Flash Weighed 1,000 Pounds. And so this actually kind of connects to the next part of my body horror collection, and that's that DC, especially in the Silver Age, where they would do these transformations on their heroes, one of the ways they got, you know, one of the things that they did a lot was making superheroes overweight, making superheroes fat, as you'll see next. So in Lois Lane issue number 5, Lois Lane becomes the fattest girl in Metropolis, and this story was actually a lot of fun to read. A little uncomfortable at times as well, but yeah, just another example of how they would, you know, let's make somebody fat, and that'll be how we transform them. And then, you know, the fattest girl in Metropolis couldn't be alone here without Jimmy being the fat boy of Metropolis, which is an absolutely hysterical title where there's some kind of deal where, you know, he's getting his weight in jewels and he needs to weigh more in order to get more jewels, and of course Superman's treating him like crap because that's what they did in the Jimmy Olsen books. Now, Adventure Comics 298 I've always liked because Lana is so embarrassed that she's become fat and stuck in the telephone booth, and Superboy, who's flying her, doesn't want her to know that he has also become fat. Boo-hoo, Superboy, I'm so embarrassed getting stuck in this phone booth because I've suddenly become stout. Stout. Promise you won't look at me. You don't know what it is to be fat. Oh, but he does, because he's fat down here too. He says, don't worry, Lana, I'll turn you over to the police emergency squad so they can pry you loose. Pry you loose. I don't dare let Lana know that I've also become fat. What a cover. Outstanding. Great stuff. In Adventure Comics number 330, everybody's kind of becoming transformed, but again, Superboy has become fat because their powers have been bounced around. So he got Bouncing Boy's powers, Saturn Girl got his heat vision. Brainiac's able to become like Chameleon Boy and change into animals and things. So yeah, everyone's powers are swapped around, so there's a lot of transformation happening on this cover, but also like it just fits that fat theme. In Action Comics 477, there is just something about this cover. The way Superman looks on it that is absolutely hysterical. And I don't know, kind of reminds me of, what is that movie? Big Trouble in Little China. There's a guy that swells up and explodes, and the expression on his face kind of matches that. I remember reading this story and Superman's like, he's barely even fat. Like he gets zapped with something and he becomes fat, and it's like a problem for him to use his powers or something for like 3 panels. And then he uses his super will to overcome everything. And it was a really cheap out. So this was a good example of the cover not selling the story that was inside. And I guess the last one I have in the Fat series is a very recent pickup for me. I got this at Heroes Con this year. This is Justice League of America number 7. Again, there's a lot of body transformation happening here. We go back to, we've got Big Head Flash, we've got a fat Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern is stretched, and Green Arrow is made real short. And this is a cover that had been on my list for the longest time. This is a great condition for the price that I paid for it. But also Big Head Flash, I knew I wasn't done with him. So the section after this, so after going from fat superheroes, Big Head Flash kind of was a thing. So I'm gonna start by going back to Lois Lane. This is issue number 27, and really, I mean, you could do just body transformation of Lois Lane or just body transformation covers of Jimmy Olsen, and you could do this entire challenge, which is why I ended up with so many books. But this one here had been on my list for the longest time. So this is Bizarro falling in love with Lois when she's bald and has this giant head. The story in this one was actually a lot of fun. Lois hooks herself up to a scientist machine, because why wouldn't she, in order to make herself smart, which it turns her head gigantic. And because she thinks she's ugly, Bizarro thinks she's beautiful. He thinks she is ugly, but he likes ugly because everything's the opposite to him. So this was a really fun story, but the reason I show this, not just because of the body transformation and because of Big Head Lois, is they did an homage to this one. I want to say this is the New 52 era, so this was a variant cover of Superman issue number 38, where they recreated this cover in the modern context, and this was for the 75th anniversary of The Flash, and you can see that Big Head Flash is back there in the background. He says, "Wow, this makes my head hurt," but it's Big Head Lois and Big Head Flash. And my friend Eric gave me this copy of Adventures in the DC Universe. I don't usually collect these, based on the cartoons, but this one, I mean, come on, it goes right back to Big Head Flash. So the whole thing that like started me down this part of my collection just seems to kind of keep popping up, and I think that's pretty cool. So there we go. Adventures in the DC Universe, issue number 9, The Return of Big Head Flash in the cartoon universe. Another way that was really popular in the Silver Age for DC to manipulate or change or transform their heroes was to turn them into kids. So this is Adventure Comics number 356, where the Legion of Superheroes is turned into babies, and they're put in a super orphanage, and they're adopted by people from this alien planet. Actually a pretty good story. The reasoning behind why they're doing it is kind of sad, but yeah, seeing the kids, seeing the Legion turned into kids is cool. Though I do hate the way that they have the kids talk when they're they're the Legion of Superheroes, but when they're shrunk down to babies, they talk like babies. So me want play with Rocket. It's really annoying, but I can forgive it for the time period. I think my favorite age manipulation body transformation cover is Action Comics number 466. This is a birthday issue for me, and this is where Lex Luthor finally got it through his head that if he wanted to defeat the Justice League, he was going to have to turn them into babies and punch them to death. So here he is punching baby Superman in the back of the head. If that doesn't say villain, I don't know what does. This is a great cover. This is absolutely ridiculous. And they didn't just manipulate, superheroes and make them younger. They would also take characters and make them older. So this issue of Lois Lane, issue number 40, where Lois is turned into a very old lady, and who can blame Superman for saying, okay, well, I guess my mind's made up. I'm gonna date Lana now. So poor Lois. Now that I've secretly grown old, my rival Lana Lane is clear field with Superman. Oh, for the days when I was young and beautiful, but they're gone forever. I don't know why Lois is a Southern belle when she's old, because obviously she should still have her like North Atlantic accent from the TV show. But anyway, great cover. And I love that Lois has a picture on her desk of her in her younger days, like really rubbing salt in her own wound. And then this issue of Jimmy Olsen just kind of has it all. So in issue number 63, Jimmy is using red kryptonite to transform the Superman squad of Kandor, and he's just doing all kinds of things to him. So he's got one who has turned really old, who has the long white beard, which is something I remember seeing in an actual Superman comic where that had happened to Superman. We've got the big head Superman, and we've got the lion head Superman, which, you know, that kind of goes with, I have an action figure that has these, and maybe I'll dig that out here at the end. So that is super cool. So this is kind of like turning you old, giving you body horror, but also like turning you into an animal, which nicely meets up with the next section of body horror I've got. So let's look at some characters who are transformed into animals. In Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen number 65, I don't know if this is the first Porcupine Boy or not. It's not the best copy, even if it is, but, you know, Jimmy gets turned into Turtle Boy, he gets turned into Elastic Lad, and Porcupine Lad, or the Human Porcupine, whatever the name is one of my favorites. It's kind of bizarre. There was a time where Superman needed to make sure that Lois was actually in love with him, so he turned himself into a mermaid and ran away with Lori Lamaris under the sea to see if Lois would be sad and wait for him, or if she would marry this millionaire. It was a really stupid story and a really dumb idea, but it's a great cover. And then there's, like, you know, the monstrous, maybe not necessarily an animal, but in this Jimmy Olsen number 81, Superman's turned into like an evil genie or a djinn, or I don't know what the right term is, but yeah, he's like a monster in this one, which is kind of freaky, or a demon, which Lois actually did become a devil in Lois Lane issue number 103, where Lois Lane marries the devil. This is an insane two-part story where Superman thinks he's killed Lois, and then they bring Lois back from the dead using some kind of spell, and when she comes back from the dead, she's got cloven hooves and horns like she's a devil, and then the devil shows up and she goes to hell to marry the devil because she may as well, because she's a demon, but he's not the devil, it's an alien thing. And unlike the one that was a stupid read, like this one was convoluted and messed up, but it was fun. Not all this body transformation and body horror has to be like, you know, Silver Age DC did it a lot and they did it great, but there's still stuff coming out today. So this is Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum. This is issue number 2, where there's new kryptonites and they're having effects on Superman. So in this one here, Superman has been embiggened. He's as big as a building, and as my friend Eric pointed out, this building that the other heroes are standing on is exactly as tall as a Superman crotch. So that is a unit of measure that you can use in your daily life. There was a Metamorpho miniseries that came out last year, and I think Metamorpho is like just one of those original body transformation, body horror characters. This was a variant cover for, I think, the first issue. Yeah, this was a variant for the first issue. I went ahead and got it because I really liked it. But you know, his entire body has been turned into all of these different elements, and he can control elements, but he can't make himself look human, which is what he wants. So this is, you know, kind of part of his character is that idea that he no longer looks human, but he is a human. And that's one of those like elements that I like about body horror and body transformation. Like that's the part that makes it horrific, like that your body no longer looks like what it should. And another character who did that a lot, and probably my favorite thing I read this year, last year, whatever it was, Plastic Man No More, where the character of Plastic Man is breaking down. And it was a really good story about a guy who's not like the best guy, but he's dying and he wants to do good by his kid as good as he can. And yeah, and throughout the entire thing, his body is breaking down. And yeah, on this cover here, he's melting. So this was issue 1 of that series. There were some great variants in this series as well that I kind of hope I get to pick up at a discount when I find them in dollar bins. But this was a great read. If you didn't read it, highly recommend picking up the trade. Great body transformation covers and just a great story. And this is a variant cover for, again, back to the New 52. This is Superman number 35, Monsters of the Month. This is a Neil Adams cover, so it's a much more late in his career Neil Adams, but really good and creepy of Superman kind of zombified and eating kryptonite maybe, or pulling it off of his face. I don't know. There's, there is that panel of Superman eating kryptonite. Needs salt. But yeah, this is really kind of creepy, and I'm not the biggest fan of late Neil Adams art, but I really like this cover. I think it's really well done. So I like to collect books that have body horror and body transformation, and this next little section more focuses on the body horror part of it, but there's still transformation involved. So these next 2 are both, one is a gift from my friend Hagen. It is Captain America number 405. This is Capwolf, and I love this cover. I love how stupid the idea of Capwolf is, Captain America being turned into a werewolf. And then I have another issue. This is 407, and this is Capwolf versus Cable, where you can get a better shot of what Capwolf looks like there, instead of him just being in shadow. So yeah, I don't know the whole story, but I remember when this happened in the comics, and it's so dumb, which just means that I love it. I actually think this Neil Adams cover is, number 1, it's amazing. It's early Neil Adams, 12 cent, Brave and the Bold, issue number 80, first appearance of the Hellgramite, or the Hellgramite. He is this guy here whose body is being transformed into a bug. It is extremely creepy. I really, really like this cover. And yeah, really love having this in the body horror collection. This was for the longest time, this was the only issue of Ice Cream Man that I own, and this was issue number 27. A great story where a guy is, or where a bug, a cockroach is living its life, and it gets turned into a human. It's kind of a reverse version of the Kafka story Metamorphosis, where a human becomes a cockroach. Yeah, this was a really good story. It was well done. There is a lot of body transformation throughout as the bug turns into a human, and it's really creepy. This is, I can't recommend Ice Cream Man enough, but this particular standalone story was just excellent. Now this is a weird one. So this is from Atlas Comics. This is issue number 1 of Tarantula, and this one actually shows the transformation process that the guy goes through. I don't know much about Atlas Comics other than I do know that it was a very short-lived company. I think most series had like 3 to 6 issues or something. There was decent talent working there. It fell apart for different reasons. Some people really like to collect these series. I really just wanted this one because I think it was David the Garage Geek I saw show it, and he has a lot of Atlas comics in his collection, and I just thought, man, this one fits the kind of thing I collect so well. So this is very cool, like actually showing the progression, kind of like an Animorphs or something, but instead of, a person turning into a puppy or a sea animal, they're turning into a monster. This one here, I don't even know. So it's very surreal, like Salvador Dali or something. And we have, Superman with no face and his face down here, and Batman's being unspiraled, like he's been put on a curly fry peeler or something. I don't know. It's very weird. We've got a bat coming out of an egg. We've got gold and I don't know. Is this kryptonite? Is that kryptonese? There's treasure. I will tell you this. I read this, and the story and the art were awful. Like, the cover is so good, but I didn't like it one little bit. So if this one makes it into the collection and stays there, it's solely because of this cover, which is just one of the oddest and most unsettling ones I've seen in a while. This is World's Finest, number 305. And this is a comic that I've had for a long time. I picked this up I can't remember for how much. It was not expensive. It was a cheap pickup. It's Batman number 188. It's a go-go check Batman. It's in terrible shape. The spine, I think, is basically like 80% split down the side. But this is the first appearance of the villain, the Eraser. And I like the surreal nature that he has, that he's literally like a pencil, and the eraser on his head can erase you. And so that's it's very cartoony, right? Like, it's very Looney Tunes, but at the same time, if that could happen, it would be terrifying. So like, more like, you know, I think of like surrealistic Doom Patrol stuff that Grant Morrison did. I feel like the Eraser would have fit in really well in that universe. Whoosh! Here comes the rubber-headed villain, the Eraser, who tries to rub out Batman. I feel like that meant something different back then. All right, I don't know how many books we've done so far, but we've got 2 sections left to go, and they're both pretty fun. So the last section I'm going to end with here is I've taken a lot of flack, and rightfully so, because I bought so much. For collecting books about centaurs, like that I have some sort of centaur fetish. I really don't, I think, but they just keep kind of showing up, and I am interested in them, so I pick them up. Now this one here, this is DC Comics Presents number 75, where Superman teams up with Arion, and I thought, oh, that's a centaur. It's not a centaur, it's a satyr, so I'm not actually going to count this one. But yeah, it's still them fighting some cloven-hooved something. So it's magic, it's Superman, it's sort of a monster, sort of a transformation. It's half human-ish and half goat. But the next ones definitely count. The first Centaur book I remember picking up is The Dreamery. This is issue number 1 of The Dreamery. And this is a story about Catholic centaurs, I think. I can't find much information about it. I picked up several of the other books, and then Rich from Big Nasty Comics sent me the rest of the series, and it kind of bounces back and forth between different things. So they do like a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, and then they keep coming back to this universe too. It's very bizarre. It's like Little House on the Prairie, but with centaurs, for no reason. So it's an oddity, and I like oddities. And yeah, I think it counts that that a human body is transformed into an animal. So this is the first Centaur book I remember really picking up. And then while it's not necessarily on the cover, on the inside here, this is Action Comics issue number 293, where we get the origin of Comet the Superhorse. And the thing about Comet the Superhorse is that Comet was actually a centaur who wanted to become a full human. And he took a drink that was supposed to turn him into a full human that accidentally turned him into a full horse. So now he's stuck as a horse, but he's still got like the human centaur mind. He has superpowers that were also given to him, that if a comet came through, he would then turn into a full human, but only while the comet was coming through the atmosphere or something along those lines. Nothing like Silver Age science. So it's a really weird, centaur, horse, human triangle thing that goes on in this book. And when you add the fact that he's in love with Supergirl and that she does fall in love with him when he's a human, but then when he's a horse, she rides him, it's weird. But I love it. So this is the origin of Comet the Superhorse. I don't even. Lois Lane, issue number 92. Lois has been turned into a centaur, and she is galloping away, and Clark is in the background. Great Krypton, a magic spell has turned Lois into a centaur. She'll never be human again. Okay, I've read more recent issues of Superman. She is not a centaur, so I don't know how she gets better, but I know by the end of this she gets better. She's so forlorn as she's galloping away. This is a great cover. And then last centaur cover that I have is issue number 65 of Weird War. And this is a Joe Kubert cover of a centaur with a machine gun fighting a tank. This story is insane. Remember Circe, the sorceress that turned Comet the Superhorse into a full horse and sometimes human? Well, this guy's a soldier who's dying or something in World War II, and then she comes to him and she centaurs him up. I think that Circe thinks centaurs are more of a solution to the problems than they actually are. So for whatever reason, this guy gets turned into a centaur, and then he's able to take on the tank that almost killed him. It's just the dangest thing I've ever seen. And we are at the end here. I am going to show you the 3 stupidest body transformation covers that I have, and they are absolutely some of my favorites. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not include Brute Force #1, where these ordinary everyday animals have their bodies transformed and melded with bionics and electronics, and they are like cyborg animals for no good reason, but they fight for the environment, and that dolphin has arms and legs. And if that doesn't creep you out, I just don't think you're paying enough attention. And I don't have, I'm pretty sure Allan showed it in his video. I think it's Lois Lane 106, where I Am Curious Black, where she changes from white to black. I don't own that. But what I do own is the second part of the time that the Punisher got turned black. So this happened in issue 60 and 61 of the Punisher. I have issue number 61. Yes, that is the Punisher right there, Frank Castle. That is Frank Castle. Very Soul Man. I don't remember why this happened. He's teamed up with Luke Cage, and for whatever reason, he gets his race changed, but that doesn't stop him from killing Frank Castle style. This is absolutely ridiculous. I really do want to track down issue 61 because it's so dumb. It's so dumb that I love it. And my last book, the last one I'm going to show, I think is the stupidest body transformation that I have, and I feel like that's saying something. That is Quasar issue number 29, mimicking the famous Vanity Fair cover of Demi Moore when she was pregnant, but this time it's Quasar. Mama never said there'd be days like this, Quasar says. I can see why. I just don't, I don't know why this isn't talked about more. This is nuts. Like, this made it through a lot of planning stages, and they said, yeah, we'll do it. We're gonna make the space guy pregnant on the cover. This is fantastic. I mean, if comics did more of this stuff, like, I can't say I'd buy more because I already buy a lot. But yeah, man, how cool is this? Glad to have this one in the collection for sure. All right, I was just about to say, and that's it, but literally as I looked over, I just saw, here's a bonus book. So this one just came out not too long ago, but Red Shirts issue number 3 has this like transporter accident thing going on where the guy's face and his skeleton are kind of, you know, all stacked on top of each other in a really horrible looking way. So, you know, body horror still happening today, still finding new ones on the shelf. And that is it, okay? That was 37, 38 different books. Thank you to Allan for, you know, every Friday he does these challenges, and I am not efficient at making videos at all. I make videos in the stupidest, most convoluted, long-winded way possible. So it's really hard for me to do these things like with a quick turnaround, but this was one where he called me out specifically. This was my wheelhouse. As you can see, I hope you liked the books I showed. I really appreciate you sticking around to the end of this video. Please give a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let me know what you thought in the comments below. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. 40 minutes, here we go. It was a lot of fun. Yes. Yep. Yes. Yes. Yep.